Faith Alabi, welcome to An Actor's Spares. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Ryan. How are you?
Good. I love your outfit. Like I feel like a degenerate for what I showed up in.
Thanks.
It's a
No.
really rainy, cold day here, so
Yeah, same here. So I'm
is it
trying
really?
to. Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, it's quite dark now. So I'm trying to brighten up my life a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I think the whole world is at this moment, but yeah, and
Yeah.
I loved you, and we are who we are, and I know you're crushing it over there, and I'm so excited to get to talk to you. How have you been during this COVID time? Has it been tough, or are you working, or
Up and down. I am at the moment gagging on COVID tests, which is fun. This is our life now.
for production?
Yeah, I can't really reveal much about it, but
Oh, well, we'll have to have you
yeah, it's one
back.
of those ones. I'm being one of those annoying people, but yeah, it's fun. So yeah, gonna
Well,
been doing that,
that's
and
it.
yeah, we've been in a lockdown. We're kind of going back into a lockdown now again for the second wave.
Wow.
But the first lockdown was up and down. But I
Yeah.
did a lot. I managed to do quite a lot during it. I
You
got a
strike me as
diploma.
someone who's be productive during it.
Really?
Yeah, you do. You strike me as someone who's very put together. I am a mess.
No, I'm a hot mess too, which is
Yeah.
why I'm so surprised that I managed to do things during lockdown. I managed to get a diploma in CBT,
Oh my
cognitive
God.
behavior
Look at,
therapy.
is that something you were always
Yeah.
interested in?
Yeah, I'm really interested in mental health and well-being and how we can apply that to ourselves as performers, because it's nuts, like
Yeah.
the things that we have to do and the high pressure situations that we're in.
And,
You
and
know,
the
you with an
mental
athlete,
endurance, it's insane.
yeah.
But
And with an athlete, you know, you have sports psychologists and you have
yeah.
all of this research and all of this science backing it, and you've got all of this support. Whereas for performers, there's just not really anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's something that I really discovered, especially during lockdown. You know, what do performers do in between jobs?
Yeah.
And what do you do when things are quiet and you're not sure? I call it when the carrot's not dangling
Yeah.
in front of you. Like when you don't have an audition coming up, or you don't
Yeah.
have a job or lines to learn, or those times, in those
Yeah.
moments, how do you take care of yourself and your well-being? So I got really interested in it, especially during lockdown, because I was like, yeah, what do I do now?
That's so
And then
beautiful.
I kind of developed workshops for performers to deal with nerves and anxiety and just maintaining your well-being
Yeah.
as a human. Yeah. But
That's
apart from that, I mean, that was a big thing. But then the rest of the
that's a
stuff I did.
huge thing. I mean, I might have to call you this week when I break down.
Yeah, we could do a workshop.
Yeah, I'd love
Do
that.
a workshop week.
But
Yeah.
if you don't mind, let's start at the beginning of how you got into acting. Talk to me about how this whole journey started for you.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one for me because a lot of people who aren't necessarily in our profession, they look to me and go, "Oh, you're an actor. Wow, that's so brave. What a brave choice." For me, it wasn't.
Growing up in
It
the
wasn't.
UK, or did you grow up somewhere else?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I grew up in London, and then I went to university in Nottingham. I studied history of art,
Oh,
and
so you didn't
then
do theater?
well, so this is what I was saying. So then when I was graduating from university, that was when the first credit crash happened. So nobody was graduating with a job, like even if you were studying for accounting, like there were
Wow.
just no jobs for anybody.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people think that it was a brave choice to me to go into a profession where there's like no work. But at this time I was like, well, if I'm not guaranteed a job in anything, I might as well try to pursue something that I'm, passionate about. But I hadn't done any acting since like primary school, when I think I was whore number 2 in Les Mis.
So wait, so
I
was it?
wasn't even whore number 1, like number 2.
I'm still trying to be whore number one, but talk to me. Like, was it always in the back of your mind, or like?
Oh, yeah, it was always like a kind of secret fantasy of mine. Like I secretly was like, oh, imagine if one day I could be an actor. Like, it was like just something private that I really enjoyed doing when I was, really young, and I felt good at when I was young, but I hadn't really pursued it at all. And so, it came up to graduation, and then I did a summer theatre course with Tallower Theatre Company. It's a Black-led theatre company based in London. And they have this wonderful summer scheme where it's 4 weeks, and you do it basically 4 weeks rehearsal, like a professional production, and you put it on stage at the end of the 4 weeks. And they have this saying, when you've done Tallower, it's Tallower for life. So they used to have this thing on, I think it was Fridays, where they would buy in loads of takeaway food. And if you were, I always used to basically make sure that I was in the area, like when on Fridays. And I could go in, and they let me use their computers and print things and whatever, and they were just always so generous with me. Beautiful. And I remember them saying, have you applied? Because I did the youth course because I was like, I have no idea if I'm even any good at acting. So I did that, and then they said, have you applied to drama school? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not going to drama school. I've heard about them. They knock you down and build you up,
make you to break you.
Yeah, they're all like robots. They're all the same. And I think I was like 21 or 22, and I was like, I'm too old.
Love it.
Like, I'm too old to do that. Like, no way. I'm not going to drama school. And they were like, no, we really think you should apply. So they told me which ones to apply to, and these days you had to pay for your auditions for drama schools as well.
It's the same in the US as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
They're getting rid of that now, which is really good, but slowly. But yeah, I saved up cash, and I could apply for 4, I remember. And then I hadn't even heard of the drama schools apart from maybe one of them.
Yeah.
And I went to each of them, and I was just, sniffing out, trying to gauge like how comfortable I felt in each space. And the one that I really felt comfortable in with the auditions, they offered me a scholarship. So I ended up going there.
Which one was that?
That was Guildhall.
That's like one of the greatest schools in the world. You say that like, I went to this college called Harvard. Guildhall is one of the best in the world. That's so amazing.
Yeah, so I ended up going there, and because in my head I thought, if I can get into a drama school, then maybe I've got enough potential to make a go of this as a career. Yeah. But I just still didn't really know what I was doing. And as I say, nobody had jobs. So it was just like, I'll just continue on this path.
Was that a 2 or 3 year program?
3 years.
3 years. And were your parents supportive about this?
I didn't really have to answer to them, so I didn't grow up with my parents. So I was lucky enough to just
self-parenting goes a long way. I know what it's like. That's so amazing. So when you got in, did you know that it was Guildhall, or did you not really figure that out till?
No, I remember when I auditioned. I remember because everybody else knew everything about the whole world, and I think I'd maybe been to one play. Like I hadn't been in a play before. Wow. And even with the summer course, that was just like 1 or 2 performances with Tallower. So I'm not from that world at all. Yeah. And I remember going to, and that probably helped me because when I was going to the auditions and auditioning, like I wasn't approaching it with this kind of reverence of like, that other people were. So I remember
that makes it probably so much more relaxing for you.
Exactly. Like, so one of the tutors, Patsy Rodenberg, is like a huge, she's amazing voice tutor, and she's very well known. She established the voice department at the National Theatre. She's, I think, an OBE or something like that.
Wow.
She's huge. Anyway, I remember people being like literally quaking from like their auditions with her and stuff like that. And because I didn't know who she was, I was just like, whatever, like.
It's just another human.
Yeah. And then one of the other auditions, I remember they asked me, they were like, have you heard of Guildhall before? What do you know about the school? And I said, I don't know anything. And they were like, what do you think of it so far? And I was like, loads of the students here are really hot.
Yeah.
And that was just like, and they really liked that I was just myself, and like, I wasn't trying to answer in a way that I felt
was so academic and cordial. Yeah, you were just being you.
That is what I think. Like, I don't know anything else. So I went there for 3 years, and then I got my agent in my final year
at the showcase.
And somebody gave me really, really good advice at the beginning of my training, which was eat the chicken, spit out the bones.
Wow.
And it's just about like taking what nourishes you and just getting rid of the stuff that doesn't. But actually, it was really lovely because in my final year of Guildhall, I actually signed quite early on, and I was in a play. I remember I got cast. This awful. I got cast as a maid, the only black woman in the play.
Oh my God!
Right, and I got an agent from that, and I had like 2 lines, I remember, as well. Like, it was, and I had like 2 lines, and I got an agent from that, and I started auditioning for all this wonderful stuff.
Wow.
That I was like, I didn't know this stuff existed. Like,
where have you been at?
And then it felt like I came out into this profession where it was like all these black people, all these creatives from all over the world, like so much diversity. Everyone was like welcoming me with open arms. It was so different to like anything that I'd imagined, and like so actually it was really lovely and warm and surprising in that way. So I didn't feel like I feel like it was less of a British issue. It still is a British issue. I felt like it was more of a Guildhall thing than a UK thing.
I'm curious to ask you, you know, because like America is still not where it should be in terms of race and equality, but you know, in about 2015 is when people started saying like Oscars are so white, like movies are so white, TV so white, we really need to get diversity. And it you know, forced diversity isn't great either. It should be, you know, people shouldn't think in color. People should think and just who's the best actor or actress for the role. But I really did help start getting some, you know, some wonderful, wonderful, talented people. Like, you know, Black Panther was a coup and other things. Did you see the same thing in London as well, or not as much?
I mean, it was happening in the States.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been like a wave. It's very, very slowly shifting, but there hasn't been like a breakthrough. So far. But for me, like working in theatre, I've been really blessed with the plays that I've been in and the things that I've done, because actually they've all been really rich, wonderfully written stories. And I've worked with so many people from all over the world. So like the work that I've done so far has truly been reflective of society. So that's been really wonderful. And I think with theatre, in the UK especially, we're further along in theatre than we are on screen, I think.
Interesting. So it's kind of the inverse. Wow, it's starting to happen in Broadway here, but then it shut down, and so hopefully when we come out, you know. But talk to me when you were doing those plays, you know, were you getting also a lot of like producers and casting people coming to see you, and were auditionings increasing?
Yeah, so that's the wonderful thing about plays, is that just everybody can come in and see you, and yeah, so yeah, I got a lot of work from a few plays that kind of just blew up a little bit, and yeah, people remember you from them, and a lot of the people. So in the play, for example, Eclipsed, that's the one that Danai wrote. People have gone on. So it's a kind of weird. From that play, Letitia Wright was in it. Tania Miller.
Wow.
So like we've all gone on to do different things. Yeah, it's been so, yeah, and it starts from things like that.
That's amazing. And then you started doing, I know you did, well, I don't know if you guys call it the same thing there, but we call it like co-star, guest star credits, like on doing an episode of a TV show.
Yeah.
And so did you start doing that as well? Because I see on your
so,
resume.
Yeah, so I was doing theatre, and then started getting like guest roles on screen, and basically doing a million auditions, and getting really close and not getting them, or just completely failing, I put in inverted commas, but doing a million auditions and just learning from them, and learning and refining and refining and refining, and then eventually, and it got to a point where basically all the casting directors were always asking me in, so it wasn't something that I was doing necessarily.
Yeah, no, you were doing great work.
Like a matter of like just refining, and then eventually, after auditioning lots, I auditioned for We Are Who We Are.
Yeah.
And that was
this post Call Me By Your Name?
Yeah.
It was.
So
you knew his work at that point?
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely. I loved that film, had heard of his work, and got this audition through. And I was actually playing a nun at this point in a different play, and I got the audition through, and I remember I wasn't in London as well, and reading some of it because I didn't get the full script, and being like, this would be amazing if I got this. And when I read the script, the audition scenes, she was written as, I think, a Korean woman in her 40s. This is what I love about Luca. I love about Luca is she was written as a Korean woman in her 40s. They still wanted to see me, so I was like, okay, cool. And this is from, because Carmen Cuba was casting, and
Carmen's the best.
And I'd done a million takes for her in the past, which I thought were completely rubbish. I failed, but it's stuff like that they remember you, keep building.
So you were auditioning for American stuff as well then?
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
I was auditioning for American stuff right from when I signed with my first agent at drama school.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I remember in the script it said something like kimchi, and I just changed that to jollof rice or something like that. my heritage, and I just basically made it my own because it was written in that way.
Yeah.
I had no other choice than to completely inhabit it and make it my own, which I think actually really helped.
I can totally see how it would help.
Yeah, and then from that, I had like an excruciating wait, and they kept on going back and forth asking me for my availability and this and that, and like to the point where I was like, for the love of God, I'm available for this job whenever it is shooting.
Yeah.
like you don't need to ask. And then
did you know Kid Cudi was attached?
Sorry?
Did you know Kid Cudi?
I didn't know anybody who was attached. I just knew it was Luca. And that's all I knew. And a little bit of my character breakdown, but that was it. Yeah. And then, got the call to say that I got the part. And then spoke and had a conversation with Luca. And he was lovely. And I asked him some questions about the script. And I'm not sure, have you seen any of the...
of course. Yeah. I respect every guest that comes on. I have to watch their filmography. I saw the whole show.
Yeah. So my character's he based my character around me and my heritage. So
Nigerian.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I asked him about some questions about Jenny's kind of, I guess, homophobia. And I wanted to talk to him about, I spoke to him about homophobia in Nigeria in certain areas as well, and spoke about how, because I'd actually been in a play which touched on this topic before, where there are some countries where not only is being homosexual illegal, but it's illegal to know somebody who's homosexual and not report them.
Oh my God.
So if you're found in contempt of, then I think in some parts of Nigeria in the north, it's 14 years in prison.
That's so unacceptable. That's
so like, you know, I've got aunties who can be gay and happy and free here, and they have to really make a strong decision as to whether to tell their own siblings their truth and put that sibling's life at risk. Because there's a wonderful play by Chris Urch called The Rolling Stone that I was in that basically touched on this, and it's about 3 siblings, and one of them happens to be gay, and he's not sure, you know, he's putting his sibling's life at risk if he tells them. And there's this is actually set in Uganda, but there's a newspaper, I think it's still going, called The Rolling Stone, and they basically catfish people that they suspect to be gay and then out them in the newspaper with photos, names, address, and those people are usually found dead very shortly afterwards.
Oh my God, Faith, this is...
So when I read the script, and when I was thinking about like Jenny and how she feels about homosexuality.
Did Luca tell you the arc of the show at that point when you booked it? Did you know where you were going to go?
No, but one of the scenes that I auditioned with, he in the character breakdown, it said that, you know, I fall in love with Maggie.
Yeah.
And in one of the scenes, I think it said something about, you know, I think Jenny says, I'm not that way.
Yeah.
I'm not homosexual. After they literally just banged.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say it's the underwear, the orange underwear, and
no, not me. Nope, not me. But yeah, that to me, I read, because I was thinking from a Nigerian perspective. Of course, she's never. If you've come from that culture, you would never ever. No, that is not me. Homosexual. It's on the same level as pedophilia for some people in their minds.
That is so horrible, Faith. That breaks my heart.
So I spoke to Luca about that, and he actually, oh no, it wasn't in the script. That was it. So I spoke to Luca about that, my heritage and blah, 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 and I was and he was like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to write that into the script. So I think originally she was a bit hesitant, kind of like a repressed about it, but then Luca just took that and wrote things into the script. So there's a scene when I'm in the PX hall and I'm talking with Maggie, and I talk about my auntie who fled from one of the northern towns in Nigeria. And that was from a conversation that we had. So he was just wonderful in that way. Like, you could add things to the script. He would always ask what you think about everything.
He was receptive. He wasn't dogmatic. Wow.
And it felt truly collaborative. And I felt like I had so much more creative control than normally on a job or on a set, you know, even down to this cake that I had to carry around.
Wow.
You know, Luca asked me what, and we had different images, and we had a whole discussion about what cake, or tiny things like
is that the American cake?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I want that. Which she keeps referring to as a cake, but it's actually a pie. But I thought that little things like that were actually deliberate, because even the way that Jenny speaks is very, so a lot of the script was translated from Italian. And then most of the cast worked on it with a dialect coach on like making it more American for kids and things like that, and more modern and things like that. But for me, actually, it was quite useful having the translation, because the way that Jenny speaks is so formal, or the way that the translation was so formal, but it actually is very Nigerian. Like it's very Nigerian when you're speaking English to sound very formal. So like I remember as a child being told, "You're obscuring my vision," when I was standing too close to the TV. Like, wow. Like that's just the way that they just speak. So so a lot of the language was like that.
For Jenny, did you even need accent coaching, or did you know that accent so well?
Yeah, I knew the accent, so that was fine.
It was so amazing. Like I actually was just talking to my producer before he came on. I was like, I didn't know if you were going to be Nigerian or British. So I was like, well, she's got a British publicist, but that Nigerian accent was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
How was working with Scott, your husband? You know?
He's amazing. Scott's lovely. Like straight away, completely disarming.
And he's never played a character like this. You know what I mean?
No, so that was one of the first things he said. Like, this was so it's so far away from him.
Yeah.
Like, as a person, because one of the first things he said was like, I've not done anything like this before. And also they snuck in like a scene, and he was like, I've not done any kind of like scenes like that before in the garage. But I don't know if you've seen it in episode 5. That was
the hitting the bag with one, or
no, it was an intimacy scene. I mean, I wouldn't say intimacy because there's no intimacy in that marriage. But,
they're very out of love. Like there's that scene with your daughter in the show where they talk about it, like we used to be perfect for each other, and it's just so haunting, you know. As a guy who's been in relationships, how that can happen, where you can be this wonderful thing and then it can kind of start to drift apart. And but I mean, also just like talk to me about filming in Italy. Was it a dream?
It was gorgeous. It was kind of like, I say that it was almost like a mixture between Lost in Translation and Four Lions.
Okay.
Because a lot was going on, and we didn't speak the language, so there was kind of like the crew and some of the crew and cast who we were all very, very close, and then we would turn up, and then people would be speaking all these different things around you, and you didn't know what was going on, and the schedule was always all over the place, but you were in the most beautiful place.
And like, was that a real military base, or was one erected?
Yeah, so they ended up building an identical base to one that we took inspiration from.
Wow.
So that was all happening like in real time. So like when we first arrived, and Luca wanted us to, there was a lot of military training and Italian classes and all of this basically prep. So we were there for like prep for like a month, and I really lucked out because everybody was getting up at the crack of dawn doing military training, and I just got to like wake up and go in the afternoon and learn how to like ice a cake.
That's so cool. What an awesome project.
I was like, I'll learn how to cook because Jenny's always cooking. So I was like, cool, I would just go to my cooking classes. But yeah, there was a lot of prep, and also he just wanted us to bond, and especially with the kids, like they just, you know, had all of this time to bond and really.
Forgive me. What's the actress who played your daughter? What's her name?
Jordan.
She was so great as well. Yeah.
She's like my real life daughter now.
Oh.
Like I call her my daughter. It's confusing because we're also very similar. So we're like twins. So she's my daughter and my twin.
That's so
and I'm
beautiful.
also really close with Jordan's mum was there as her
Chaperone.
chaperone, and
Yeah.
also she's her manager as well. So I was really close with them. I was close with both of my children's mums.
That's so awesome.
We were like, we were a little unit. But yeah, so Jordan's mum, I call my sister wife. So I've got my daughter twin and my sister wife, and they're just family now. Like, I love them. I saw them earlier this year, thankfully, before COVID took off.
Wow.
Yeah, I flew out to the States, yeah, we spent some time in LA, which is, yeah.
That's so
I
beautiful.
speak to her all the time. Yeah,
I love
we're
that.
super close. But yeah, we had all of these like game nights, and we were all basically in this small, gorgeous town called Padua.
Wow.
And then we'd obviously go to set, but you know, in our downtime, we, you know, took trips to Venice and just ate amazing food.
So this project was a dream.
It was an absolute dream.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So talk to me when you went back to the UK. I don't know if you can disclose, and it's okay if you can't. Or is a season 2 happening?
Don't know. If there is, I would love to be involved.
Yeah.
I'd love that. I think it depends on how people receive it, I guess. I don't really know what people look into these days.
Yeah, well, HBO Max is a very new thing, so I don't even know how, you know, they decide. The streaming wars are just insane. It's good news for actors is that there's so many shows, but you know, viewers can have a hard time getting lost in the mix, I feel like.
Yeah. But I know that Luca's definitely excited about the idea, and a lot of the cast, we're all a lot of us are excited and would love to do another season.
Yeah.
That came.
Well, it's gonna happen. So talk to me when you came back to the UK. What, you know, like, what have you been auditioning for? Do you have any other projects in the can? That I know you have one that you can't announce, but any other ones that you can announce?
I came back and I did some filming for a short film called I'm trying to remember what it was called now. Have I blocked? Bone. It's because it's changed its name a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, Bone, but that's set in a detention center, an immigration detention center, and I'm in that. I play a woman who isn't particularly nice, so quite far removed from Jenny, which is nice. Yeah, and she's not particularly nice, but that's because she has her own reasons. There's another thing as well that goes on with when people are seeking asylum. I'm not sure how it is in America, but here I know that a lot of women who are seeking asylum because of being persecuted for their sexuality, for example, they're asked to prove their sexuality.
The audacity, like
how do you do that?
Yeah. What do you want to be, like a voyeur? You creep, you know what? That's so.
And a lot of the detention centers are just really just hellholes, and this is set in one, and for those reasons, my character is pretty horrible.
Wow.
Because of the circumstances that she's in. But yeah.
Do you know when that's coming out?
I'm not sure because of COVID. I don't know when what's happening with things. So I did that, and then I went out to the States at the beginning of the year, and then came back, and then it was COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
But at least you were productive and got that degree. I'm so proud of you.
And then now, yeah, I've just started working again. But yeah,
I know you're
it's
going to
been a long
be
year.
one of the biggest superstars in the world, Faith. I'm so excited for you. I got a final few questions for you. Um, having just completed this degree in this program, and you spoke specifically about how actors, we don't have control. Any advice or words of wisdom you would have for the actors struggling out there right now, especially with a pandemic and not being able to audition?
I think the key to it is learning how to love your life. Learning how to love your life and nourish that and nurture it, so that acting is a thing that comes in. So working and jobs are a thing that come, they enter and go, they come and go, they come and go. But the core of your being is your life.
Yeah.
The things that you do, the things that define you, and being. So there's this thing, as part of my course, there's this thing that I talk about in my workshop about being goals oriented and values oriented. And there's this analogy of these two kids in a car, and they're on their way to a theme park, and one of the kids is goals oriented, so they just want to reach their goal, which is to get to the theme park. Yeah. The other kid is values oriented, so on the journey, they start the journey, and the goals-oriented kid is like, "Oh, we're nearly there yet. Oh, we're nearly there yet." He just wants to be at the theme park. The values-oriented kid who values family time, he values curiosity. He's seeing animals like that he'd never seen, farm animals outside the window that he'd never seen before. He so he's doing all of these things on the journey, playing games with his family, all of this kind of stuff. Anyway, they get to the theme park, and the theme park is closed because of bad weather. So the goals-oriented kid is completely devastated. His goal isn't complete. Values-oriented kid is disappointed, but it's, not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And
it's all about your perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's about having goals, and the values are, the values-oriented kids still had the same goal to get to the theme park, but the journey was so much richer and so much more pleasurable for that kid. Yeah. So in the same way with acting, if acting becomes a goal rather than a value, and if you focus and nurture your values, then your life will be rich and fulfilled.
Thank you for sharing that.
You can have your goals, but your life is rich and fulfilled. So it doesn't matter if if you don't reach one of your goals. Yeah. Because if you're always chasing a goal, then you're only happy for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Because the goals are always moving. Then you have another goal.
You reach the goal and you get another goal. And it's like that thing they say about actors where you are only happy in the first 5 minutes after you get a job. Yeah. You get a job offer, and then it's back to worrying or back to competing or whatever it is that you do. So it's about acting, hopefully, ideally, is the cherry on the top. A job is a cherry on the top, and the cake is your life. It's what you value. Yeah. What do you value? Curiosity. What do you value? Quality time with your loved ones, or whatever it is, and focus on those, and you will feel abundant and you'll feel grateful. And all the rest of it is kind of comes and goes.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I myself really needed to hear that today. My next question for you is, it's no secret it's been a very dark and racist time, not only in America, but even in the UK. You got that piece of shit Boris, and it's been bleak, to say the least. What's been keeping you inspired?
Ooh, inspired. One of my friends said to me the other day, I think AOC did a speech or something where she was saying about hope being a discipline. Yeah. And so I actually started reading, it's called Pleasure Activism, The Politics of Feeling Good. Ooh. And I basically make it my daily mission to achieve joy. At some point in my day, do something pleasurable. And that's my way of fighting this, because against all odds, I'm still laughing and thriving.
Which is critical to your health.
Because people are trying to eradicate my existence.
Yeah.
And sucks to be you, because not only am I alive, but I'm thriving.
You're thriving! That's what I was just going to say.
So
yeah.
Whatever that is, if it's just dancing to music that I love, enjoy, like I do a lot of like aromatherapy and things like that, like whatever it is, but just finding joy.
Yeah.
It's a radical act.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really tough to find anything joyful. But I do it, and I make sure that I do it. Because I think that is basically the biggest fuck you to white supremacy and patriarchy.
Oh God.
That I can do, like me, this black woman, smiling against all fucking odds.
You're a warrior, Faith, and I know you're going to be one of the biggest stars in the world, and I want to have you back when we can talk about this other project. And but I'm so proud of you. You know, I know we just met, but like, you've given me so much hope. Final question for those listening: what's the best way for them to, keep in track with what you're doing? Do you have an Instagram? Yeah,
I've got Instagram. It's Faith.Alabi.
It's gonna be linked right here. Right there, guys.
My daughter Jordan is basically walking me through Instagram step by step every day. I'm not even kidding. I did an unboxing the other day, which I'm so proud of. That's probably my biggest achievement this year. 2020.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Adapt or die. Well, Faith, I got so much love for you. You're so beautiful inside and out, and you're gonna take over the world. And you got a big fan here, and I'm so excited for all that's to come for you, because I know it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be great. And just keep on smiling.
Thanks. You too.
Amazing.
It was lovely speaking to you. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, let's do it again soon, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So much love.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Thank you, Faith. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
I am thrilled to announce that Enactor Despairs is partnering with a wonderful CBD company called Kind Farms. Everyone out there has heard of CBD. I started taking it a few years ago when I first started getting sober, and to help with my anxiety. Sadly, as one can do, I was overtraining in the gym, and a friend recommended a topical and a tincture to help with the pain. I tried it. It was okay. However, recently, I was introduced to a product that has really changed my life. Not only has it helped me with anxiety, but I am stronger than I have ever been. I'm able to carry out lifts my body used to prevent me from doing. Kind Farm products have single-handedly changed my life athletically and personally. They utilize 100% local licensed farmers, organic cultivation, and CO2 extraction for superior CBD. Kind Farms is turning CBD to a kind alternative to pharmaceuticals. Let's transform tobacco row into hemp row. If you want to get involved, please reach out. Together, we can make a difference. You can use my code RYAN10 for 10% off. You can find them on Instagram at Kind Farms Inc., all one word. That's KINDPHARMSINC, and their website is kindfarmsinc.com. Once again, my code for 10% off is RYAN10.